Hey guys, Tabitha here with Urban Manufacturing, home of the outdoor mobile grills, and today we're going to be talking to Josh. He is our lead fabricator, and we're going to kind of go inside the building process, kind of how we do things, why we do things, and he's going to explain some of that to y'all.
Well, hello everybody, and this is Josh. Josh is our lead fabricator here. First of all, Josh, I want you to explain what this is. It sits on my desk, and everybody that comes in, they always ask me, but I never can explain it probably as well as you do. So tell us what that thing is.
So this is a piece of a 110-foot section of the cross deck pendant, and this is what actually the resting gear hook catches the cable right here when they're landing on the ship.
So an F-18.
Yeah, it's Super Hornet or Rhinos.
They come in and they land, and they're flying. How fast?
It's about 150 when they come into land.
150 knots.
And then they hit this, and this is sitting like this, and they hit it, and it's idling at 400 psi. And when they hit it, it goes to 10,000 like instantly of pressure behind it.
I wouldn't want to be in that cockpit.
Oh no,
when that happens, yeah. The things people go through to keep our country safe. And you know this because you served on the John C. Stennis.
Yes, sir.
That's where you met my daughter. Josh is also my son-in-law. So she also served right beside him doing this. So big source of pride for us. Another question that we get quite a bit, and you know, I mean, it's a patented product, so you know, we don't encourage people to try to build our stuff. And everybody who's tried to build it, it was a disaster.
Yeah.
You know, and plus, you know, the government fines you for that because it's a patented product, and the bad thing is we never get any of the fine money. They just fine them and they keep the money. So they're happy to fine you if you copy our patent. And but I always try to warn people about that because I don't want them to get, you know, I mean, so anyway, this right here is 14 gauge tubular steel, and it is the base of our frame. It is pretty light.
Oh yeah.
And we always say around here, we're not building tanks, we're building airplanes. And but to get the strength out of this lightweight, of course it's all in the core of the design, but why don't you explain to them how we weld that to where it don't just break apart.
Okay. Well, when we get it and I fit it up, my machine's normally pretty warm so I can get tacks, but I tack it real good all over so there's no twisting or pulling either way. And then I weld pretty hot too, but I move quick. So I'm not sitting in the spot too long, blowing holes in the metal or creating weak points from too much heat, stress points. And we weld up most of the bottom all the way. And the top we don't weld up as much. It's all the way except for a couple of places because we don't need that much. If you did to all the top, it would bow the trailer down real bad.
Yeah.
And pull in on itself.
There's another reason we skip welds too, isn't it? So, and it's because even though, I mean, even if you weld up metal tight, it still builds up moisture on the inside and rusts from the inside. So
it leaves a place for the water to come out.
yeah, because it don't matter if you weld it all the way up, it's still going to grab condensation
And that'd rust out a tube in a couple of years, depending on where you're at.
yeah. So that's one of the reasons why we do it that way. If y'all hear a bunch of noise coming from out there, it's because there's a shop right outside there where we're building them, and they are getting ready to load up for California. Some real pretty loads going out there, and so really a lot of people ask me that question, you know, and it's like I say, in the 4 attempts people's tried to copy our stuff, it's never worked out, and it's just don't do it.
No.
Just don't do it. The best thing is to let the guys who know how to do it. And one of the reasons, the other big question I always get is, how do you do this for the price that you do it? And it's kind of the Henry Ford way of doing things. I mean, we don't run an assembly line here, but almost.
Yeah.
Because everything comes in on a jig. That's the first thing, is that we have a cut list of the type of trailer we're going to build, and they cut it. And then you bring it over to your jig and you lay it out, and that's for consistency. I mean, manufacturing is about consistency.
Oh yeah. And I can use my jig for any trailer we build.
Yeah.
My bottom jig.
Because they basically all start the same from the bottom, and then we modify them as they come up. And then from there, Josh puts them all together. They weld them out in the places they know to weld and skip the places they know not to weld.
Yeah.
And then it goes to powder. Now this right here, this one is a is what they call painted, but it's primed, and it's actually, they spray it and they run it through an oven and cook it on there like that. We don't use a lot of this because it doesn't powder as good.
No, and it's sometimes cause issues welding. It pulls that.
It pulls, yeah. So yeah, we normally use raw, and it's because, I mean, my biggest thing is the powder, because the powder adheres to it way better. And we're going to talk about powder in another segment, but if we put this on there, it'll start flaking, you know, in just a few years.
Yeah.
But if we just go to raw, then it's part of it. You can see that's part of it.
Oh yeah.
And that's the same way with our powder. Well, thanks, Josh. I know you guys got a lot to get done, so thanks, man.
Oh, no problem.
Bye. So Josh finally explained what the cable is on my desk. So maybe if people see it, I don't have to explain it. I don't explain it as good as he does anyway.
Yeah.
And you know, for those of you who don't know, that we're really close to where they build the F-35. The F-35 doesn't, you know, they don't catch it with a cable. It's vertical.
Yeah.
And they build them over at Lockheed Martin, which is just right across the lake. And you know, sometimes you might hear one just buzz over because they've been doing a lot of flying lately.
Well, I know sometimes I'll be on the phone with the customer or with anybody, and I'm like, hold on just a second.
Yeah.
That's our freedom flying over. I can't hear you. You gotta wait.
And let them fly.
Let them fly all day.
Yeah, and they've been very active right now too, and that's something. I guess they're funded better because there for a long time we didn't see them.
We didn't.
They didn't have the fuel to fly. That's sad. But yeah, the F-35 it takes off. It can take off in a vertical fashion. So say you're in the Middle East and you're just out walking your camel one day, and then one just rises up over the top. That's American superiority.
America.
Yeah, that's right.
We're proud of that.
Yeah, we really are.
We are proud Americans here.
As a matter of fact, you know, we are a military contractor. And when Josh was talking earlier about, you know, the reason that we skip certain welds so that it drains, we actually developed that while we were building for the Pacific Fleet, because, you know, that would be Japan, Guam, and stuff like that, and they can't get anything to hold up.
Right.
Well, they can now.
They can.
Yeah.
They couldn't because of the salt water from the ocean would corrode everything, so it wouldn't hold up for more than a year.
Yeah.
If that.
Yeah, that's what they were telling us. We met in St. Louis, and they were telling, you know, can you develop that? And we did.
We did.
I mean, we'll do anything for them. Yeah, the military uses them in a lot of different applications, but I guess mainly they put them on the flight lines for, you know, their weekly cookouts and things like that. But we have seen them deployed.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a sense of pride for us too.
Yes.
That we're able to do that. Another thing that Josh and I talked about was the way that, you know, we use light steel to build on. You know, we said we're building airplanes, not tanks, because we want these things to be light and mobile.
Yeah. If you're at an event, you don't want to try to maneuver your 10,000 pound trailer into a small spot, because at these events, you got to think about it, you only have 10 to 14 foot spots for a reasonable price. Of course, you can get bigger spots if you want, but that's just money out of your pocket. But our trailers can fit perfectly in those 14-foot spots, some of them in the 10-foot spots, and you just unhook them and you can literally, my daughter is 6, she'll be 7 next month, and our Eli, which is our biggest addition, she can pick it up and roll it around. So that's how light they are, and that's why we make them light. So they are easier to maneuver around events, flight lines. They can be, you know, dropped out of airplanes if they need to be, which they have been, and sustain the fall. And that's why we do it with light steel.
Yeah, dropped out with velocity huge, yeah. But
Right.
they still hit the ground at 25 to 30 miles an hour.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't just throw them off, but...
or knots, which is 1.2.
Right.
Yeah, and then, you know, another thing too is when you're out there and it's setup day, and everybody's trying to set up, and, you know, I mean, you don't have a lot of room between. I mean, it's
Right.
not a super highway there.
Right.
It's a real narrow trail, and you're trying to jackknife it in and everything like that. And it's kind of like Tapta said, you know, one of the advantages to being able to buy one of the smaller spots as opposed to the bigger spots is now you're down there with the other vendors.
Right.
You know, so
You don't have to be off by yourself because you require a bigger spot. You have to have a generator. You have to have all this because they don't want all that noise down where they're trying to promote a fair and a festival. So if you think about it, if you've been to fairs and festivals, the bigger trucks are always secluded and they don't get as much business, and it's because they're loud.
Yeah.
And they're hot. They put off a lot of heat. And if you're already in the summer heat, you don't want that extra heat from your generator.
And then that, because they got those 20, they have to buy those 20 by 30 slots
Right.
too. And I always like the fact that ours is down there where the crafts and things are, because you know that's when you're hungry.
Yeah.
You know you put that onion on the grill, and I don't care if they're hungry or not. They're gonna be
hungry now.
hungry. Yeah, they're hungry now. So that's one of the big advantages that we haven't. I don't think we've ever talked about that, but when you're picking a spot and they say, well, how big a spot you need, and they immediately want to move you over into the place. Because there's power over there too, and electricity.
Right.
You don't need it
You
with
don't
the
have to have
LG.
that.
So I mean, it's really a lot better marketplace for you to be if you're down there with the craft people and it's
Boutiques and
yeah.
where do they do all their shopping. If you can fit in one of those spots, and they're coming to you first because they see you first.
Yeah, I mean it is about making money. I mean that's what you're out there to do.
Yep.
And so, okay, well, I think that's all I got for today.
That's it.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.